Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and in this video, I'll be profiling a little bit of this video from RT America's YouTube channel titled, Russia Says New Nukes Only for Defense. But we know through the scriptures that Russia's nuclear weapons are going to be used mainly for offense against the United States of America during this upcoming World War III. And it's not just going to be Russia and its allies that are going to shoot nuclear missiles onto the U.S., but America's own allies are going to turn against her in that day and ally themselves to shoot missiles onto the United States of America, which in the scriptures is known as Babylon the Great, as well as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8. This is Jeremiah 50, verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon the United States of America, an assembly of great nations from the north country being Russia, because what's north of the United States of America past Canada and the Arctic Ocean region? Russia. And also Russia shooting its missiles over the Arctic in Canada to hit its targets in the U.S. would be the shortest trajectory time for its missiles to reach the U.S. And besides being known as the North Country in the scriptures, Russia is also known as the spiritual Medes in Isaiah chapter 13 and Gog in Ezekiel chapter 38. And that assembly of great nations is not only the allies of Russia, such as China, Iran, and North Korea, but like I just said, also the allies of the United States of America, such as Germany, France, Britain, South Korea, and these other NATO nations that are going to turn against the U.S. in that day and ally themselves with Russia to shoot their nuclear missiles onto the United States. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And those arrows are symbolic for those nuclear missiles, because what you have to remember is that when the prophets saw these visions thousands of years ago, they didn't know what a modern-day nuclear-tipped ICBM was, so they had to describe it the best way they could with what they knew during their times. Ancient weapons of war, such as bows and arrows, swords, spears, javelins, etc., etc. And when these nations shoot their nuclear missiles onto the United States of America, 200 million of them are going to hit the U.S. and turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. This is Isaiah chapter 13. I'm going to read verse 17 to 20. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, the spiritual Medes, the Russians, the north country, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. When the time comes for the Medes or the Russians and these other nations to shoot their nuclear missiles onto the U.S., nothing will happen to stop them from shooting those nuclear missiles. No peace treaties, peace talks, nuclear weapons bans, etc., etc. The Most High is going to put the spirit on them to push that red button without a hitch. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. And those bows are symbolic for the silos and other launch platforms that are going to fire those nuclear missiles. Think about it like this. What do bows shoot? Arrows. In this instance, nuclear arrows. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And the only people in the United States of America that are going to be saved from this coming nuclear destruction are going to be the elect of the nation of Israel, the 144,000 and the rest of the righteous 1/3 of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners that may look like these heathen nations. Anybody else? 2/3 of the nation of Israel who are hard-headed and refuse to return under their power, and you heathen nations are going to be the fuel for the fire. Verse 19, and Babylon, again the United States of America, the glory of kingdoms, The beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And how did the Most High overthrow ancient Sodom and Gomorrah? With fire and brimstone from the sky. And he's going to overthrow this modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Because like I said earlier, besides being known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures, the United States of America is also known as spiritual Egypt and Sodom, as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, with modern fire and brimstone from the sky, those 200 million nuclear missiles. And afterwards, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. When those missiles hit the United States of America, it's going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then that desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards that's going to stand as a memorial as to what a wicked kingdom looks like and how not to govern the earth, and what the punishment or judgment is for afflicting the apple of the Most High's eye, the children of Israel. But now let's get back to that video on RT America.
The news that Russia successfully test-fired 2 of its newest missiles is causing complaints from the West. Many express concern that Moscow's new types of weapons are capable of destroying space satellites and even U.S. cities. Russia and...
That's exactly what they're going to do. That North country and that assembly of great nations not sparing their arrows on Babylon.
Return says it doesn't pose a threat to anyone and its weapons are for defense only. RT's Yulia Shapovalova reports from Moscow.
The end of November was marked by 2 successful test launches of Russia's new powerful weapons that made some in the West quite anxious. The first test of a new ballistic missile of the Russian missile defense system took place at a testing range in Kazakhstan. The Russian Defense Ministry has published a release as saying that the aerospace forces successfully carried out a regular test launch of a new missile of the Russian missile defense system. However, no details about the missile's precise performance or its target were disclosed. According to the commander of the 1st Air and Missile Defense Army of the Russian Aerospace Forces, the combat crews successfully completed the task and the new missile reliably confirmed its characteristics in a series of tests. The second test launch took place in the White Sea in Russia's Arctic. The hypersonic Zircon missile successfully destroyed a naval target in the Barents Sea, some 280 miles from the launch site. It took it only 5 minutes to get there. Its speed exceeded Mach 8. In other words, it's more than 6,000 miles an hour, or about 2 miles a second. The missile was also constantly maneuvering on its way. Zircon can be used against both surface and ground targets. There is no need to create new launchers. Those that already exist will do. Previous tests took place in October. The introduction of Zircon is in fact considered by local specialists the completion of the deepest modernization of the Russian deterrence system. On land, Russia has its ground-based complex Avangard. In the air, the hypersonic Dagger missiles, as well as a nuclear-powered missile of unlimited range Burevestnik, a laser complex Peresvet, and a sea complex Poseidon. But Russia keeps saying all these weapons are not for attack, but for retaliation. Russian analysts say not a single air defense system that exists today has the ability to destroy hypersonic weapons, and Zircon makes senseless all the doctrine of the United States, with tens if not hundreds of billions of dollars spent on its military bases and shipborne missile defense systems scattered across the oceans. The arrival of Zircon missiles to formations and units of the Russian Navy is scheduled for 2021-2022. The Zircon will reportedly appear on submarines as well as surface ships. According to the Western media, the United States and its allies should be very careful, as Russia is likely to become the first country to adopt submarine-launched hypersonic missiles. According to the National Interest, America has no defense against Russia's Zircon hypersonic missiles. Traditionally, the Americans relied on their military fleet. Destroyers or cruisers with the Aegis anti-missile defense system were on constant alert in the seas surrounding Russia. It was believed that they were capable of ensuring the destruction of up to 90% of Russian strategic missiles with nuclear warheads. Now, with the hypersonic weapons, any carrier group can be destroyed in just 10 minutes. So Russia says it has full readiness to take measures for its defense. And as the main feature of the new Russian weapon systems is that they represent the potential for retaliation and not the potential for the first strike, that gives everyone a good basis for negotiations. Yulia Shapovalova, RT.
So there you have it. If you have that spiritual eye salve, you can clearly see that biblical prophecy is taking place right before your very eyes. And as it says in Isaiah 55 verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. These biblical prophecies taking place, such as the United States of America being destroyed by nuclear missiles, and nothing will happen to avert these prophecies from coming to their fulfillment. And with each passing day, we're getting closer and closer to this nuclear destruction, which is going to take place after the mark of the beast, which is the RFID/NFC microchip implant, is mandatorily implemented. I'm going to close it out with Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. Slovakia. One woe or destruction is past, speaking of World War I, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter, World War II, which is past, and this upcoming World War III, which is coming quickly. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of Esau Edoms. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.